just been looking over one of my old videos about a police brutality case with Cheshire Police. It's an old video, about 2 years ago, but I come across a comment. I've made a lot of videos, so don't check all the comments on all my videos, but this guy was having a go at me because he says that I'm anti-police and that, oh, what if my mother, sister, etc. were mugged? You can see the sort of line he's taking. Made a lot of personal attacks against myself, called me the CUNT word, etc. That doesn't bother me. What bothers me is that it just demonstrates what sort of people are out there. And it is something that I've noticed. If you do take a position where you question police abusing the power, you always get these stupid fucks who come on and make excuses for it. And it's usually this sort of line, oh, if you're in trouble, you're going to contact the police. And that's usually the line they take. But they're utterly missing the point. And they cannot see just how stupid they come across. The problem with these people is, this guy calls himself Jimmy G. You can see his comment under the video. It's under the shameful Cheshire Police brutality video. I don't know if he's a citizen or a police officer himself, I don't know. First point I'd like to make, although I made this in a video anyway, shouldn't be having to say this. I'm not anti-police. I'm not. And every video I make concerning this subject, I always make that clear. If I was anti-police, I would use the sort of words that a lot of people on the wrong side of the law do. And I would hit all police, and I'd speak out against all police. I have absolutely no problem whatsoever with officers who are trying to do their job, who are fundamentally decent people, who want to protect the public, and so on. And I've always acknowledged that it is a difficult job, that police officers do face personal risk and so on. I've always acknowledged that. But I will challenge anybody who thinks that wearing a uniform means these people are above criticism. No trade, no job is above criticism, none. And if you have the mentality that, oh, they wear a uniform, therefore they're right, then you're just stupid. It's just a stupid way of thinking. And it troubles me that there's people out there who cannot see why this is a problem, i.e. police abusing their power. Such as the case I quoted in London about the young woman being hit repeatedly. They say things like, oh, you're only seeing one side, look at the cop side. The problem is, very often it is the police who have the upper hand. Far too seldom do they ever face punishment for abusing their power. And it bothers me that there's people, I don't know whether they're related to police, they are police, or they're just plain ignorant, but it's not the police brutality itself that is the bigger problem, it's the fact that there's people willing to stand by and make excuses for it. I'm not going to apologise for speaking out, and I don't think it's hypocritical at all as a member of the public to say that. Because the fact is, I can't take the law into my own hands. If I was a victim of crime, I'd have to call the police, because if I took the law into my own hands, then I'd be done for public disorder or whatever. So you have to rely on the police. There's no other choice. But it is entirely legitimate to question power in a democracy. Entirely legitimate. And it's the same the issue with, like these people who take the attitude that you cannot criticise the military, or boys in uniform, they're above criticism, this sort of thing. It's a sheep-like, pathetic mentality. Plus, it's wrong. I'm not anti-police. If I was anti-police, believe me, my language would be very different. But at the moment, I do have deep concerns, and I am angry about the widespread abundance of police blatantly abusing the power. And there is blatant racism and corruption within the police. There is. You can't deny it. It's just the way it is. And I know there's many decent officers out there who will recognise what I'm saying. So it really bugs me that there's people who think that if someone questions police authority and police abusing their power, they get all reactionary and they're like, oh, but you rely on them, blah blah. I could understand that criticism if I was 100% against all police officers and I was an actual criminal, etc. But I'm a law-abiding citizen who recognises this problem and is speaking out about it. Because there's far too much corruption in the police for them to make serious reforms themselves, and I see no evidence that they are. So, hell yeah, someone has to speak out. And you know, in the case, for example, that woman in London, she's a suspected shoplifter. Who's going to believe her? Even if that is the case. So someone needs to speak out. When you have a situation where people in authority abuse that authority, that is a threat to democracy and free society. You're the hypocrite, not me. If you're willing to defend that, then you claim to be a patriot and you claim to love this country. If you're willing to stand by and see that sort of thing happening. You're the hypocrites. Piss off to some police state where clearly you'll be much happier. Because I'm not the one that has the problem here. You know? All I've done is said what is blatantly obvious, what anyone with a brain can see. So to Jimmy G, whoever you are, you're an idiot. And there's other people, unfortunately, out there like him, who just make these excuses for what cannot be excused. He actually had the audacity to call me a troll, when I'm the one showing my face in these videos. I'm the one putting my views out there. I'm not saying people have to agree with me, but at least if you're going to disagree, give some basis for your argument, and don't attack me for things that you have no weight on, no sort of just stupid slanderous comments that you don't really know what you're talking about. I'm not slandering the police as a whole, I'm talking about specific cases here. And if you don't believe me, watch the damn footage. Look, see for yourselves. It troubles me that there's so many sheep in society who just automatically assume that because someone's a police officer they must be right. It's actually quite dangerous. And I made the final point to this guy, you might well find yourself on the receiving end someday. He could be a case of, he could be finding himself in a kettling case, in the wrong place at the wrong time and so on. Then I'll see if he's such glowing reports about the police in this country. So, that's all I'm saying really. Finally, I'll just emphasise again, I'm not anti-police, and if you are a police officer, I fully respect the work you do, in the sense of the risk you face and so on, but I'm not going to hold back from criticising potentially your colleagues for what I see as a serious threat in a free society. Uniforms don't scare me, or at least they shouldn't, to anyone who cares about liberty. And I'm not a namby-pamby lefty who says like, oh, I want police to have no power. I have no problem with police having power, rather it's about how they use that power. And when they're clearly abusing vulnerable people, like a defenceless young woman, hell yeah, I'm going to speak out. This guy said, what if your mother, etc. was mugged? My question to him is, what if your girlfriend or sister was suspected of something that she may not have done, and a police officer treated her like this? So, the ignorance here just pisses me off. I'm sorry for the language, but it's a case of... But the good news is I think a lot of people do recognise this problem. It's just unfortunately some people are too damn stuck up their own stereotype of what's right and wrong, and they take the view that a job defines someone's character rather than actions. And they're idiots.